Hey there, everyone. Welcome on into VGM Emporium, video game music and more. I'm your host, Rage Cage, and today I have a guest with me. I got Bedroth here with me, and I'm going to let him just introduce himself proper.
Well, howdy there, Rage Cage. Thank you for having me here in your fine establishment and agreeing to look over some of these curiosities that I have found around the internet. Thought maybe you could shed some light on them for me. But yeah, I am Bedroth, as you said, is my name as I am known on the interwebs. I am formerly the host of the Very Good Music VGM podcast with my kiddo, Shoot Kapow, who recently turned 18 and graduated from high school and graduated from the podcast earlier this year. And it's time flies. And currently the co-host of BGMania with Brian over at RPGera.com, another video game music podcast that I don't have to edit, so it's a lot easier for me.
Nice. And of course, you are one of the starters of the Masters of VGM event that started last year.
Oh, yeah, that we just had back in June. It was. So I was in the Rhythm and Pixels Discord, which I know you're very familiar with, and Rob and some other folks were in there talking about our Mount Rushmores of BGM. This was sometime last year, 2022, I think, and I thought, you know what, that would be kind of a cool idea, but it would be really cool if we could get a bunch of people together and do something like that. So I made a hub for it on my channel and started asking around if anybody who wanted to be interested. We landed on the Masters of VGM moniker, and everything just kind of went from there. Chris Steenerson, who's another big-time VGM podcast fan and has his own show, VGM, that is very infrequent. They post when they can. He is kind of my website guy for the event and helps me out with that. So
yeah, I remember when that discussion came up, there were like a few permutations that kind of were circled around. Like one was like a round table idea where everybody like would get together, which is kind of a crazy idea. Like, you know, it's hard enough for
chaos, man. There's so many of us.
Like so many voices, and then like just the scheduling of it would have been like insane. But the way how it did turn out worked out amazingly. Really cool. Like, you know, everybody kind of doing it at their own pace through the month of June, however they see fit doing it. Like everybody's way of doing it was not the same. So it's really, really cool how it all just worked out.
Yeah, everybody's approach to the people they wanted to pick. And then this year I wasn't even sure if I was going to bring it back. I wasn't going to say much about it, but a few people were really, really interested. And so I thought, okay, cool, let's go ahead and make this an annual thing. And speaking of different approaches to the people we wanted to pick, you actually did a couple of episodes this year for Masters of VGM. And on one of them, you played like original music by the composers that you had highlighted in the first episode, right? Yeah,
I really like listening to video game music, but then a couple of my choices I found through their original music, you know, being Maxo and F.O. Harkay. So I thought, hey, that'd be cool because, everybody makes really, just awesome music outside of video games, even though it's, for the most part, very much related to video games because that's what most musicians I listen to grew up on. So I imagine that's kind of what inspired you for the idea on this episode that you wanted to do.
Yeah, well, it's what lit the fire under me. I have had this idea on my mind for a while. Actually, even back on Very Good Music, it was on my potential ideas list. And then when I migrated over to BGMania, it jumped onto our ideas list. And Brian has gotten so excited about some of the ideas we've been kicking around that he has basically booked out our topics through like early 2025.
What? So
we know exactly what we're going to do like the rest of this year and next year. And of course we can change our minds. You know, we've already moved a couple of things around, but so this one wasn't one of the ones on the docket for any time soon. So I was like, you know what? Rage Cage is kind of the perfect guy because he, being the proprietor of a shop of curiosities and wonders like the VGM Emporium, I thought that you could, help me kind of get the word out about some of this stuff that our favorite video game music composers have worked on the side. Like my original topic or name for this show, if I would have done it, would have been side projects from the pros. But a lot, some of these people wouldn't even consider them side projects. It's just kind of what they do, among other things, So yeah.
Yeah, it is. And also, it's kind of an interesting answer back to the episode I did with Gene Draband of Pixelated Audio, where we talked about musicians that don't compose video game music, but they maybe did it once or twice. They're more known for music outside of the space of that.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of good counterbalance to that. So.
Really enjoyed that episode. Gene and Brian and James back in the day. I've always enjoyed Pixelated Audio and what they bring to the table. And Brian and I are actually going to be kind of riffing on that around the same time that this is posting, maybe in a couple of weeks. We're going to be doing a topic about film composers, people who are mostly known for film, but who also they either did one or two video game tracks, as a cameo, or they actually have also done several video game tracks on the side. So, yeah.
Okay, nice. I can think of a few that have done that. But now, speaking of the topic, let's get into the track that we opened up with here, which is a wonky little treat. I'm very glad you brought in here.
Yeah.
So
go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the track is called Red Moose, and this is by Hirokazu Hip or Chip Tanaka, and this is from an album called Django, which was released in 2017. And again, I was just very surprised by this. It sounded like so many things, but above all, of course, sounded like Hip Tanaka just being himself,
Yeah, once I really started getting into video game music as more than just a passive enjoyer and really started looking at it and researching and stuff, Hip Tanaka became one of my early favorites. Of course, he was a big-time Nintendo composer way back in the day. He's, composed stuff for Mario. He, of course, is known for Metroid, Kid Icarus, the original Fire Emblem. He's done so many things. And he was really mostly active in the 90s, though. And so when I heard that after, the turn of the millennium, he started doing more like DJ work and things in that scene as Chip Tanaka, I was really intrigued and went out and looked for some of his stuff and I've been looking for a place to share it. So this one was really cool, though. I thought it was unique from the other tracks that I brought, which is one thing I always try to do. So
like I said, this is a real surprise, and there's just I think I told you earlier, it sounded like Sungazer, which is a band that Adam Neely, which if anybody's familiar with, he does the videos on YouTube about some music talks. He's a really amazing bassist, and the beginning part after kind of the intro sounded like something like Sungazer, just really weird time signature and jazzy, and then it gets into this weird dubby kind of sound, but still again with that Hip Tanaka sound that it almost sounds like you put Mario Paint on house. I don't know how to put it, but yeah. I definitely. I think somebody remixing Mario Paint for the club scene would maybe yield something kind of like this. Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know if there's anything more you want to say about this track. I think we'll move right on.
Yeah, I think I'm about ready to move on. This one, like I said, I was kind of a little more familiar with. So, let's get into some of this other stuff that you've got coming for us.
Okay, well, talking about classic old school VGM composers, I got one right here for you. I actually met him at MagWest. Speaking of which, we are recording the Friday after I had gone to MagWest, so a week. So I'm still a week fresh on it. I'm still gathering my thoughts about it. But I met this guy. He was a guest on the Pixelated Audio panel. This is coming from George Sanger, and this is an original track called Space Monkeys.
Space monkeys, out to save the world. Monkey boy and girl, out of sight. It's funny how the time out here where we're flying, it passes light speed, as we're flying above. Like monkey, oh, we're fighting for love. Target locked, low. Earth people, with your telescope, never never give up hope on those dreams. Hey, little monkey, would you like to save the world with me? Hey, little monkey, be free. This is our space to be.
What you just heard there was Space Monkeys by George the Fat Man Sanger, and with vocals by, I believe, Plasmingo. And so this is a song that George had written for the Hair on Fire Composing Challenge back at the Game Sound Audio Con in 2020. How the challenge worked was they challenged composers to write a song within 20 minutes. George asked for an extension of 35 minutes, and he admitted it took him 90 minutes to do it. And he just came up with this surf rock ballad. He wrote the entire song, and he actually has like a 7-part video talking about showing how he did it. And it's just ridiculous. And having met the man himself, this is like a perfect example of just how he works.
Yeah, man, the Fat Man, a good old Texas boy. I remember hearing an interview with him, and I don't remember if it was Pixelated Audio or if it was Retro Game Audio back when they were still on the air. But it might have been George, or it might have been one of the other guys he worked with on the Maniac Mansion soundtrack. They were specifically talking about how they basically reverse engineered the NES hardware in order to make that soundtrack, which is a really cool story, and it's a really amazing soundtrack for anybody who's not familiar with it. It's my favorite version of Maniac Mansion music.
Yeah, and actually, I played a song from that game on an episode called NES in the West, which you inspired me to do, or not inspired, suggested I do, because I did that focus on the expansion chips in Japan. And, I featured the song, David's Theme?
Yep.
And I credited George Sanger for it, but in, hindsight research, I saw David Warhol, who is a, person that George had worked with in the past, in LucasArts and all. And so I actually asked him, who wrote that song, if it was him or David. And he wasn't quite sure. He maybe thought it was somebody else that had written it that, had just come on to help out with that soundtrack on the NES version. So the answer is still unknown.
Yeah, man, and that's crazy. I think that what they were doing is some of the songs were riffs on the original work by the LucasArts guys, and some of them were more original, really eclectic bunch of songs. And also want to point out that a little bit of Maniac Mansion trivia, the Famicom version of that soundtrack. Do you know who composed that one?
No.
It's actually Tsukasa Tawada. You know that name?
I've heard it, but not enough to be familiar with it.
Tsukasa Tawada, yeah, so I don't know a whole lot of his stuff from early on. He did the original Earth Defense Force way back in 1991. Okay. He did, worked on the Dungeon Master series, did sound design on Dragon Quest VI. Okay. But yeah, this is not about Tsukasa Tawada. This is about George the Fat Man Sanger, who...
Oh, man.
Honestly, I know best from the Maniac Mansion soundtrack. I know I've heard some of his other work, but that's what I know him best for.
He's most well known for his work on the 7th Guest and the 11th Hour.
Yeah, the 7th Guest, okay.
And Putt Putt Goes to the Zoo, Putt Putt Goes to the Moon, and Pajama Sam.
Yeah,
those,
that's right.
PC games.
That's right.
And just his role in this community, I've heard it said many times, there wouldn't be a MagFest without the help of George, because he started the first actual composer jam spaces at trade shows and stuff.
That is so cool. I love that he's so approachable and is such kind of a champion of the scene and of celebrating it. That's where our culture comes from, the little VGM podcast subculture.
Yeah, he was just a delight to be around and behold. I don't know if you're familiar with have you gone to MagFest or any of the Mag events?
I haven't made it to any of the Mag events yet. I'm gonna make it up there one of these days.
Yeah, there was one panel. We were warned, they had the opening ceremony, and we were warned explicitly not to go to this panel. It's called the Guabs panel, and I am forever changed. And George somehow became like, part of that panel, and 2.5 hours long, and he was a champ, and he was probably like, the linchpin of sanity, I'd have to say. He kind of, even though he's wacky himself, but he was like, in the midst of all this madness,
Yep.
he was the best.
That's great. That is great, man. Yeah, we really need a Mag South, maybe down in Austin or something. Or hey, Dallas would be perfect. But
someday,
yeah, Mag South. Somebody out there who's better at planning those kind of things than I am, do that. I will give you money. But yeah, this sounds so much to me like something straight off of a Dr. Demento CD. My dad had an oldies rock and roll show that he did on Saturday nights for years and years, and one of his collection, every once in a while he would throw out a novelty song, just something kind of funny to mix things up. And I came across his Dr. Demento 20th and 25th anniversary CDs, and I had recently discovered Weird Al. And so that was I saw Weird Al on a couple of Dr. Demento CDs, and I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be fun. And so I started listening, and man, it got crazy and weird and wacky, but in all the best ways. And this sounds like something like what would have been on one of those CDs. Probably the most popular thing I'm thinking of is like the Purple People Eater song. But this sounds like an even more obscure jam, like one of the deep cuts on one of those albums. But
my mom was a big Dr. Demento fan. Like, she grew up in L.A., so she was like, listening to it, like, as it was going on and stuff. So, like, growing up, she'd be listening to Weird Al and all that stuff. So, like, as a kid, I'd be hearing Weird Al or just stuff that she'd listened to from Dr. Demento. So, it's kind of
Yep. Spike Jonze and Tom Lehrer and all those guys.
Wacky times. Oh, man.
Good stuff. Good stuff, man.
We are getting onto your next track here. What would you like me to pull up here for you?
Yeah, let me see. What is going to be the best follow-up to that? I could do my vocal track, but you know what I think I'm going to do is let's go ahead and jump to the last one on my list in front of you from Jake Kaufman's original album, FX4. Let's take a listen to Reconstruct.
that was Reconstruct by Jake Kaufman, a.k.a. Virt, from his album FX4. And I mean, what can be said about Jake Kaufman? Like, he was one of my Masters of VGM last year.
Mine as well.
Oh yeah, we're Virt buddies.
Yep.
And for very good reason, And yeah, a little fun fact on this one is that of course, being FX4, this is the fourth in a series of albums he did. And but this is the first one that he actually wrote in FamiTracker. The other ones he wrote in a different tracker called Scream Tracker 3, using samples of these waveforms. So, cool little fact for you. So I'm gonna hand it over to Bedroth because he has some facts for you as well.
Yeah, man. Virt, which is what Jake's name was back in the scene, what a lot of people still know him as. Virt is maybe the best person who has ever composed with the NES sound font. Oops, I mean the. But honestly, though, he is just a maestro of that chip, and he. Like, I don't think there has ever been anybody better than like what he was able to do with Shovel Knight, which of course is like his magnum opus.
Yeah.
But it blows my mind. It's like what somebody like Tommy Emmanuel can do with an acoustic guitar, or you think about an auteur with a particular instrument. It's like Jake Shimabukuro with the ukulele. It's what these people can do with this thing. It defies human logic. It just, but yeah. So I knew I wanted to pick something out of Virt's original discography, and he did have the FX, FX2, FX3, FX4 series, and I just kind of randomly picked one thing because I knew if I listened through to everything, it would take me forever and I would enjoy it, but it would take longer than I wanted, and I knew that anything I picked would have something fantastic on it. So yeah. I landed on FX4, and this is a concept album set in the oceans and skies. That the album tells a story like the other FX albums did, and this is a prequel to FX3. This is not on his Bandcamp anymore, but it is still at archive.org. I sent Rage Cage a link for folks who want to go check out what Jake had to say about it. And he also has this available in NSF format for you audiophiles out there. That's available on that same page. And the little description of this track just says this is completely divorced from context, so take it for what you will. The reconditioning is slow and difficult. The researchers are forced to piece together bits of information from military records, and the rogue Navy is quickly losing patience. The scientists eventually finish restoring the prototype and then are ordered to prepare it for a field test. The threat of such a powerful weapon, the Navy believes, could easily bring the warlords under control, allowing the legitimate military forces to reestablish order and maintain a lasting peace. And that's the story of Reconstruction.
Oh.
Yeah, it's heavy stuff.
Damn.
Heavier than this chill track would imply.
Hey, man. Well, definitely. Yeah. No, sorry, I kind of got lost in it again.
That's right. Yeah, it's
just crazy. It's just, like, in listening to it, like, it's it's just that 2A03. Mm-hmm. So this is just like, the two square waves, the triangle, and the noise channel, and then he used the DPCM for percussion, and if you heard like those pads at some point, that as well. And it's just amazing that he's able to do that with that much, because as you mentioned, Shovel Knight, he did that with the VRC6. And that offers like the saw wave channel and the 2 extra sound or pulses, and it's just I'm still just blown away like that he's able to do all of this this stuff, like just his control of like the voicing and like the volume, and just like how to like pull leads back and then bring it back in. Is just like how he do it.
I don't know. The stuff on the FX albums it's actually some of the only stuff I've seen from Jake that doesn't have the volume like ticked all the way up to 11 the whole time. and so I like the dynamics here. I like what he's done with this, and it is reminiscent of some of the stuff from Shovel Knight, like maybe some of the cutscene music that he uses.
Oh yeah. No, definitely.
The other thing, though, about Jake is just the diversity of style that he is able to bring to the table. And anybody who wants to hear even more of that, I mean, just go to his Wikipedia page and look up some of his original albums, because I guarantee you can find them on the internet. And yeah.
I personally went to his website when he used to have it, like back in like the late 2000s. It was called Big Lion Music. He had, a collection of like original music and covers he did. I downloaded it all, and I still have them on like a zip drive in my car right now, just so I'll just play whenever I have stuff random, and just a lot of it like early tracker stuff, a lot of it like like newer stuff, and it's just all really good.
Yeah, all the stuff he puts on Bandcamp is always pay what you want. So a lot of times what I'll do is I download it all, but then I'll go back when I have a little pocket money, and on a Bandcamp Friday, I'll drop $30 on a single album of his just to kind of pay him back for everything he's given me. But yeah, I've got everything he's ever had on Bandcamp. I've got downloaded on my computer. So, and sometimes I'll just throw up my Virt playlist and come across something new again.
Oh man, yeah, this man just never stops with surprises.
That's right.
Never stops.
Speaking of surprises, I told you that I hadn't listened to anything that you've got posted because I like to be surprised. So, what do you say, man? You ready to surprise me again?
Yeah, I got just the thing here for you. So we're gonna play something that is also made with real hardware, FM this time. This is coming from Takeshi Abo. This track is called "The First Vision" from FM Vertex. that there you just heard was The First Vision by Takeshi Abo, and this is from FM Vertex, which is a compilation album headed by Keishi Onao and his label Cold Nerve. And this is and this is actually written on a Sharp X68K with the software called Z Music. So this is full on legit FM tunes and it sounds like something that is from like one of those games back in the day. So
hey, I could tell it was FM. Look at me.
Oh man,
so awesome!
Congratulations. FM is is crunchy.
It's like I've been doing this for a minute or two. Yeah, I in my last episode with Brian, I brought something from the X-Men Genesis soundtrack, which I told him I never expected to bring anything from because it's so farty, it's so grungy, and not in a good Genesis way.
Those are some shiny gems for you right there. I tell you what.
That's right. But man, this though, I love this, man. This is so good.
Yeah. And Takeshi Abo, man, he's like, the man is amazing. Like, if anybody, I'm pretty sure most people listening to this show are familiar with Takeshi Abo. I think I've played a couple things from him before, and I just love his music, and just hear something new from him. In this compilation it was a really hard choice because there were a few other really good ones that I wanted to pick from, but this one won me. Yeah,
for sure. And between this and what you played from by Hitoshi Sakimoto on your second
Hikoshi,
I did it again. We just talked about that when we were listening. I get them confused all the time. Hikoshi Hashimoto, when on your Masters of VGM episode. Between this and what you played there, I'm gonna have to go and check out these albums for sure.
Yeah, and I think I got talking to Kung Fu, Carlito about this on the Kaiju Carlito episode. And actually Hikoshi Hashimoto is like on FM Vertex 3 along with Jay Kaufman as well.
Oh yeah,
which is really cool coincidence there. Yeah,
that's so cool.
And I haven't heard it yet. I've only heard samples. I can't wait till somebody uploads it or if Carlito gets it. And
man,
it's gonna be
Yeah, I gotta take a second to shout out Carlito, man. He's a kaiju of the VGM listener scene, and and a podcaster in his own right, of course, as you talked about Heroes 3. But he is just the nicest guy. He's so pleasant to talk to. I met him through the Super Mercado Bros fandom, and we have just stayed in touch ever since. I guess I've known Carlos now for 4 or 5 years. It's been, which is crazy. Just crazy how the time goes by. But yeah, Carlos, if you get your hands on number 3, definitely let us know.
Let me know. Like I said, I'll have you on, and we'll just go. I don't even know the right words. I'm so just excited about thinking about it.
But we're just riding the wave of this excellent not VGM that we're listening to tonight, and
yeah.
And it's funny. I do listen to other things besides video game music. Like I said, my dad had a rock and roll show, and so I grew up listening to pretty much everything. But it is it's my go-to these days, and so I compare almost everything else to it. But
yeah, it's tough. For me, it's either video game music or music that is very much inspired by it, as probably as you can tell by some of my picks from my last episode, as well as my Masters of VGM. And it's just I love this stuff, and just to see new stuff coming from old masters is just really cool. Hear Hip Tanaka doing that track, Takeshi Abo coming back and doing this, and Keishi Onao just holding it down with keeping this FM scene going is
absolutely.
Yeah, I could just gush. I could gush about it all for as long as I could, but we got some more ground to cover here.
We do, and this is not one of those tracks that an old master has come and done something new. This is actually something that one of the old masters did way back when he was first starting out. And coming off of that Takeshi Abo track, this is another proggy, just sonic journey that you're about to be taken on by Motoi Sakuraba, from his 1991 solo album, Gikyo Kwonso. I'm usually so much better at this, Brian. Praise me. Gikyo Kwonso, or something like that. Prog rock album, again, by Motoi Sakuraba of, lots and lots of series fame. We'll talk about that when we get back. But yeah, what do you say, man? You ready to jump in?
Humpty Dumpty. Oh, oh boy, howdy. So you just heard Humpty Dumpty by Moitoi Sakuraba from his album Gikyo Kyonso. And,
okay, it wasn't just me. Thank you.
Yeah.
This was released. Yeah. This was released in 1991, and
damn.
Yeah. So I do think he had some help from. I think these were some of his former bandmates. So Sakuraba did the keyboards, and he was the composer and arranger. It features Ken Ishita on bass and Takeo Shimoda on drums. And this was made. It was released by Made in Japan Records on October 3rd, 1991, and was later re-released by the French label Musea, and was re-released in 2011 by Disc Union. There we go. I thought that was Japanese for a second, but it's not. It's
Disco Onion.
Disco Onion, that's right.
Yeah.
Disco Union, but no, it's just Disc Union.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, this was Sakuraba's first solo album. He had done a couple of things with his band Deja Vu, but yeah, first solo album. Released in 1991, the same year that, let me see, the following games came out that he worked on. A few Japanese-only ones that I don't want to pronounce right now. Arcus Odyssey, Crystal Chaser, El Viento, Arcus 3, Zan, Kagero no Jidai, Nico, Ernest Evans, and Tenbu, Sengokushi Seishi. And yeah, all of those in 1991. I don't know when this man sleeps. He has so much music out there, and he released so many albums in a single year. It's insane.
I think he's reached a point of zen, like this point of like being where he doesn't need sleep, he doesn't need food. He's just like achieved like this level of like spirit energy where he's just like constantly like keeping himself going.
Yep.
Like,
as long as he's composing, it's like the energy just comes back into him through osmosis, and he's like a constant feedback loop of excellent music.
And I have a good way of seeing this. This is like if like some of his Wolf Team stuff had Red Book Audio, Ernest Evans, or El Viento, or I can imagine it, this being on one of those.
This is maybe what we would have gotten. I hear I hear a little bit of Yuzo Koshiro in this, and I wouldn't be surprised if Koshiro had some influence on Sakuraba because he was recording and releasing stuff just a little bit earlier, and Koshiro was already a big name through Falcom and Sega, and he had started Ancient around this time, so I wonder how much he might have been influenced. But a lot of these guys, though, like Sakuraba and Koshiro and Koji Kondo, were influenced by the rock coming out of rock and club and things like that coming out of the U.S. at the time. So such good stuff, man. If you like prog rock and you like Koji Kondo, definitely go check out any Bowser track that he composed, because those are all very proggy. But yeah, if you want one more Motoi Sakuraba, just like throw a rock in a video game store and you'll probably hit a game that he has composed something for the series of. It's just it's crazy business. It's just crazy bananas.
Man, this man is just like we were saying, just a non-stop music fiend. And I think my first exposure to his music would have had to have been I want to say Golden Sun.
Yeah, Golden Sun. The Tales series, of course, Tales of Fantasia, and so on. Shukapao, one of his favorites is Tales of Symphonia, as anybody who listens to very good music knows. Did a lot of the Mario Golf and Mario Tennis games. Let me see, Star Ocean was a Sakuraba joints. Lots of Japanese RPGs and stuff like that. So.
Just bringing on banger after banger, but this next one I got here for you is a little interesting. It's not something I would normally play, but I found two different names. So there's one, Oni no Tokishu, or Demon and Model, which I don't think is the right one, and then the other one is Oni no Tokimori, which is Demon Timekeeper, which sounds about right. This is by Akihata, and this is coming from an album called 10 Plant 2 Children's Songs. that was Oni no Tokimori, or Demon Timekeeper, by Akihata from the album 10 Plant 2 Children's Songs, released by Biosphere Records. And if you remember last year, Akihata was one of my Masters of VGM, largely because of her work on the treasure games, Sega Genesis. She had also had involvement with Lagrange Point, early Konami composer as well. And this was kind of an interesting one because she is a pop musician. She had been writing music while she was writing video game music, and then kind of tapered out of video game music towards the late 90s and early 2000s, and would do maybe some openings for visual novels and stuff. But she shifted her focus towards writing pop music and and anime openings as well. And a lot of her stuff is that kind of moe anime opening, really kind of high pitched. I don't know how to put, just moe. That's all I can say is moe. And I'm not really caring much for that, but then I came across this, and this was really interesting, and it had some elements of her BGM composition, but was different enough to where if this is this the same Akihata? What? So I don't know. What did you think of this?
I really enjoyed this, man. I told you that I could hear this being played in the middle of an anime movie, maybe a romance mystery set in a tropical setting where the characters are kind of like searching for things and there's no dialogue. It's just just action. It's definitely
kind of like a montage type situation.
Yeah, it's too slow and moody for an anime opening or closing, but I could hear it in that setting. But I like her voice a lot and everything she's doing with it here. I have very eclectic listening habits, as I mentioned earlier, and this is it's really fun, and it's got a little bit of kind of a sultry, steamy sound to it, which is, I was caught off guard when you said this is actually from an album of music intended for children, because maybe that's just me.
Yeah, I can only imagine because it's called Children's Songs in the title of the album.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, that seems to be fairly straightforward, but yeah, maybe I'm just reading into it with my American male machismo or whatever it is. However much of that I have.
I'd imagine it has something to do with a demon that is a keeper of time.
Yeah, that also.
And maybe it's about its journey or what it does. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know what she's saying, what she's singing, but I do know that of a lot of her vocal stuff, this I actually do enjoy. And the cool thing about Akihata's, I do follow her on Instagram. And she's pretty active, she's always posting photos, she does photo shoots in different costumes or dress, and a lot of trains. I have a feeling that she is somewhat of a train otaku, and a lot of food pictures, and just with her crew, one of her bandmates, and just her photo taking crew, I think. But it's just really interesting just to see what she's doing, all these different places she goes. And just still very active and just creating music and just doing really cool stuff.
That's really cool, man. I'm gonna have to check that Instagram out. I'm actually pulling her up, but yeah, that is really cool. Well, I do have one more curiosity to share with you though, and I think it pairs pretty nicely with that. It's from one of my favorite current composers, and a lady who I follow a lot on Twitter, and who it just seems like a really cool person. Most people probably know her best from the River City Girls 1 and 2 soundtracks, although she has done quite a bit of other video game music work. But Megan McDuffie released last year, I want to say, her first ever, you know what, I don't want to just say, I can actually verify. May 21st, 2021, so a couple years ago. But yeah, Megan McDuffie released Inner Demons, which she had been working on for a long, long time. We are going to listen to a track that is her dedication to one of her favorite films when she was growing up, called Labyrinth, which most people our age will be familiar with. And this is a dark, dreamy electropop tribute to Labyrinth, and it is called 13th Hour.
So that was 13th Hour by Megan McDuffie. And what was that? I don't have it on here. What was the album that was from?
That's right. That is from her 2021 solo album, Inner Demons, which she describes as a culmination of her inner monologues, struggles, desires, and musical soul. So that's her tagline for the album. What'd you think, though, dude?
I liked it. It's like kind of just the sound of it, the vibe of it. Like, I don't really usually seek out, like, music with vocals, modern kind of poppy style music, but this definitely is something that I could see myself listening to. Just the vibe of it, like kind of nice, slow, not like, I don't know, I can't quite think of the right words. I never can think of the right words when I need them, but I just really like the way how this sounds. It's not like trying so hard to sound retro or like synth wavy or that kind of thing. She's kind of like, molded her own, like you said, electro pop sound here, but still kind of evoking that feeling.
Yeah, and she, I get the feeling that she is really kind of, that she would not like to be pigeonholed, but I get some of those like goth emo vibes from her, but she channels it into something that just is, it's a really like this, again, sultry kind of dark club feel, and really enjoy her work. And she's in her videos and on Twitter, she's funny and she's really sweet, and she always responds to her fans. And just recently, I think she went through her Instagram followers and sent a direct message to everyone saying, hey, I just want to say thanks for following me, because she sent me one, and she has no reason to single me out specifically. So she really cultivates that community with her fans. And she also, I gotta say, she's just sexy as hell, dude. Something about the way that she carries herself and everything she does. It's confident vulnerability that she has when she shares her composing. It's just really cool. I like her a lot.
Yeah, she's of all the composers on here, I'm the least familiar with her. Like, I haven't really listened to the River City Girls soundtracks or any of her works, but I might have to remedy that and give her more of like more attention. Yeah,
give her a listen. And anybody who likes that sort of the more modern electro pop synth kind of scene, I think that you'll like her stuff. A lot of it is more upbeat than this, but I will say Inner Demons is probably the slowest and most introspective that I've heard most of her work. River City Girls, both of them are just a romp. They're super fun.
Well, I'd imagine, being a River City games, they gots to.
Absolutely.
Oh man.
But yeah, dude. Well, I think you've really helped me kind of wrap my head around some of these things I brought in for you to look at, and see a few more things kind of sitting on these shelves that I might just have to borrow and take home with me.
It may look like junk to some folks, but it could be a nice little shelf piece for you at home, and to share with others. That would be like, oh, where'd you get this? And you tell them, this weird funky shop I just found a hole in the wall place. It's like dusty, jumbled all over the place. It's how an emporium's got to be.
Hey, man. One man's Crazy Bus title screen on the NES is another man's Guile's theme.
Yeah, Crazy Bus. That was
so.
That's a whole thing. That is a whole thing. Generative madness. We don't have time to go into it right here, but yeah, there's a whole thing on it. If
we don't.
Anybody's interested to learn about Crazy Bus title screen, look it up. It's interesting as hell.
Maybe if you ever do like a damaged goods episode, like when you got these shipments in and you just can't sell them, so you're gonna give them away.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
We can come back in and feature something like Crazy Bus.
A lot of misorders. Sometimes the packers and drivers and delivery guys, they just don't care and they'll bash things around.
That's right. Sounds like something that might come out maybe sometime in early April.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, those delivery guys that just drive by, don't even slow down. They just toss the box out the door as they go by.
Yeah, no, I've kind of timed it. Like, the one thing I'll say about them is that they're usually on time, and I'll make sure to have the door open just in case if they're feeling a little extra saucy, and they're just launching it right out of the back of the truck. Just comes right through the door, slides in, and it has a perfectly designated spot. I set up like a little square tape thing around, and it just slides right there.
And you really know what you're doing.
Yeah, I've got it down to a science.
Well, there's a reason you're the proprietor.
Yes. Oh man, so many wacky things. But yeah, no, Bedroth, thank you so much for bringing this up. That's kind of helping me to kind of like stretch out a little bit more. Stretch my some of the music here. It's not something I would have actively listened to on my own time, but yeah, it's kind of helped me really stretch here.
Same, man. Same. Yeah, that's what's the name of that album series that you mentioned again?
Oh, it's FM Vertex. Yeah, Vertex.
FM Vertex. Yeah, I am adding that to the first one. I'm adding that to my YouTube library right now.
Yeah, you can find them on YouTube. It's like the whole like album uploaded on YouTube right there. I'm like I said, I'm waiting for 3 to come out because I've heard some samples and it's sounding really good, and I can't wait to hear it.
Very cool, man. Very cool. Well, yeah, I'm definitely walking out the door with something then, and glad I was able to help you. Put a few more distributors and providers on your whatever your catalog, as it were. This was fun though, dude. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming on. And before you go, why don't you tell the folks about yourself? I'm pretty sure most of them know about you, but it never hurts.
Yeah, I think most of the VGM fans who are interested in that side of what I do would be interested in finding me at Masters of VGM on Twitter. That's kind of become my whole persona now. I do also have a Discord. I think that I have that linked on my Twitter account. If not, if you want to join, just let me know. I'll send you a link. And you can also find me bouncing around most of the other VGM podcast Discords, but most often in RPG Era, where BGMania is one of the shows. I host that with Brian. We try to release every Wednesday. Sometimes it's a couple of days late. But if you look it up on any podcatcher, BGMania, all one word, you'll find us. And after you check out your weekly VG Emporium, throw us on the radio as you're driving away.
Though, actually, it would be... people would listen to me after you because you release Wednesdays, I release Thursdays, so it's
there you go.
The other way around there.
Okay, there you go. Well, I always like to defer to my gracious hosts, but yeah, whatever way you want to listen, just as long as you listen.
It's all good stuff, all very good music, one would say.
one might say that, absolutely.
Zingers, man.
I've actually gone back lately and listened to a few of the last episodes that I released on there just to see how they hold up. And man, I might have to dig that out one of these days soon. I mentioned that I would be coming back for some DLC or some special stages or something like that, and I got a few ideas I've been throwing around. I might want to bring someone on and see if we can't dust off the old place. We'll see. I will definitely let everybody know when that happens. That's about it. I'm not much of any other place. So I guess you can find me on Instagram. I don't even know what my @ is. I don't get on there very often, but Rage Cage and I follow each other, so you can find me on there.
Well, I got that Instagram @ right here for you. That is @Bedroth VGM on Instagram, and I will be linking it and the other places you can find Bedroth in the show notes. So once more, I'd like to thank Bedroth for coming on in the shop and helping me to expand my collection of originals from the VGM Masters. Definitely making the shelves in that section look a lot less barren. So now you maybe remember earlier that I mentioned that I did an episode with Gene Dre Band, that would be episode 62, where we talked about VGM composed by people that don't typically compose video game music. And I'm bringing this up because I just listened to the episode of BGMania, where they are talking about Masters of Hollywood, which are basically Hollywood composers that composed music for video games. They only have like a short list or even just one credit, but it was really good. And actually, we had some overlap with a couple of composers, that being Mark Mothersbaugh of Devo and Stuart Copeland. So I would definitely recommend you go check that out. It's once again, that's BGMania. And now I'd like to thank you all for once more coming into VG Emporium. And if this is your first time, welcome on in. You can find VG Emporium on all your favorite podcatchers, such as Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, as well as on Twitter and Instagram. And then there's the website, vgemporium.wordpress.com, where you can find all the episodes. And there is a Discord server if you'd like to check that out as well. There you could just hang out with other folks that enjoy obscure VGM. And then there's also, if you have feedback, give that, suggestions. And there's also special orders, which is basically a song request where if I get enough, I'll do its own dedicated episode. And you can also send those to vgemporium@gmail.com. And then, of course, I've been your host, Rage Cage, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at RageCage, RayJKayj, as well as on SoundCloud, where I post my original music. And, that's about it. But one last thing. Next week's episode is something I'm really excited for. I'm going to be doing an focus on the YM2413. Yes, more FM sound chip shenanigans. Oh, you gotta love it. And it's going to be a pretty interesting mix of different systems, different styles, as well as featuring some artists that I really enjoy and respect that are just really able to make this sound chip sing. So look forward to that indeed.